Hello folks, welcome to a rather swift update from me. I'm on the ground at Redhill, just taxiing to the holding point, heading up to Norwich because this is probably going to be one of the most challenging flights, not this one, but the one coming after this, that I've ever had to do. As you know, I'm doing the Flying Reporter Meetup Marathon. It's a dawn to dusk race around the UK, landing at 12 airfields in the 12 hours between dawn and dusk. And it's all in aid of Aerobility. I'm going to tell you all about it. We're going to take a look at the weather forecast, which has presented some challenges, and let you know what's in store for the challenge, where you can come and see me, and how you can help me raise some great funds for Aerobility. But first we'll do our engine run-ups at the hole here, which I'll spare you, and then we'll take off.
India, holding Air Bravo 2 ready for departure.
Golf India Victor, runway 24, surface winds 180 degrees, 9 knots, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 24, Golf India Victor. Okay, airspeed's coming alive, temperatures and pressures are in the green. We have good power set, no warning lights, looking for 58, there it is. Tap the brakes, gear up.
Crossing down towards shore for 25. Med 2 on Echo, Redhill Tower, start approved. Start approved,
So we're just staying down low here for this little bit of the flight because of the Gatwick CTA. We'll be able to climb reasonably soon, just slightly more comfortable altitude. And my charity flight is inspired by the Pooley's Dawn to Dusk competition, an international Dawn to Dusk competition that's in its 60th year. And it's a chance for people to set themselves a challenge, to do something as pretty interesting with their flying license and their aeroplane between the hours of dawn and dusk. And most people do it in the middle of summer when there's lots of time between dawn and dusk. I'm doing mine at the end of winter, beginning of spring. It's going to be doing it on the Saturday the 16th of March, this coming Saturday, if you're watching this reasonably soon after publication. My challenge is to meet as many of my followers as I can in one day between the hours of dawn and dusk. So sunrise at the moment is at 6:03 in the morning, sunset 6:03 in the evening. I picked that day because there is exactly 12 hours between the two, and in those 12 hours I'm going to do a fan speed meet exercise, landing at 12 airfields in 12 hours, and the aim was to raise more than £1,200 for the Aerobility Charity, which enables disabled people to learn to fly, to experience the joy and pleasure of flying, which of course has many therapeutic benefits. Whilst it might not sound like a huge challenge to land at 12 airfields in 12 hours, the fan meetup takes up 25 minutes at most of the stops, and so actually it is quite a challenge to get around all of those airfields. But the biggest challenge at the moment has been the weather. Won't have escaped your knowledge if you live in the UK that we've had tremendously unstable, unsettled weather, lots of rain. Many of our grass airfields are still closed, in fact. The weather forecast for this weekend is not straightforward, and it was looking like I might have to cancel the event, but as you can see I'm going ahead. I'm positioning the aircraft up to Norwich now. So it'd be great if you're watching this before the 16th of March and you live near one of these airfields that I'm showing you on the screen now. It'd be great if you could come along and see me, get a signed photo, take a selfie, give me a donation to the Aerobility Charity. And here are the times that I'll be at each of those airfields in theory, as long as everything goes to plan. But what about the weather then? So as I say, I was thinking that it might have to be cancelled or postponed, but we're going ahead. As you can see, we're starting off from Norwich, and I've got to get the aircraft up to Norwich for the start of that challenge. So whilst I get into a climb here and head towards the northeast, let's catch up with Aviation Weather School Simon Keeling, who can tell us what the weather is doing and let us know if it's going to be possible to conduct our mission.
Simon, give me some hope. Are we going to be able to go ahead and do this this marathon?
So at which point did I actually tell you I could change the weather then? When did that happen? If only it was as easy, John, as a yes or a no. You know, this is meteorology, and rarely does it go down those very neat lines. I'm sort of hopeful-ish, and I think we've developed this consistent story over the last few days of the weather kind of snapping at your heels on the way.
Yeah.
I think that's still the story today. We're looking at such a fine margin that 1 or 2 hours difference in timing is going to have a huge implication for you. Do you want me to show you a few charts? And
yeah, show me what's going on. What can you see now?
What I'm going to do is use the ECMWF model, because that is generally considered to be the most reliable model at the moment. So these charts are actually freely available to everybody via the ECMWF website. Lots and lots of charts on there. They're aimed actually at forecasters, but with a little bit of intuition. And of course, weather school, you can understand these as well yourself. So what I'm going to do, first of all, let's just show you, I think we'll go with the precipitation chart first up. And the time of these charts is down the bottom here. And this is the chart for Saturday, 6 o'clock in the morning. And very slack pressure flow. This is pressure and rain. Very slack pressure flow across the country. That kind of raises a bit of a question over the risk of mist and fog, which we'll come to in a little bit. Rain out towards the west, knocking it on by 3 hours for 9 o'clock in the morning. You notice that rain getting into southwest Wales and then across southwest England. It's coming in on a tropical maritime air mass, and a tropical maritime air mass typically occurs behind a warm front. It's bringing in lots of moisture, lots of low cloud, mist and fog. And I think quite quickly, these western and southwestern coasts will get clogged up by that. And then notice how by midday, the rain is kind of across Wales and southwest England. It's struggling, though, to get across the mountains of Wales. And very often this is what happens, is that the mountains act as sort of a break until the energy associated with these systems can actually manage to push it across. And then by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it's kind of in a line Manchester, knocking on the door of Slape and then down to the Isle of Wight. But notice eastern areas still drier. And then by 6 o'clock in the evening, that rain then is across more of the eastern Midlands, starting to get to southeastern England. So you see this idea of it snapping on your heels, and the reason why I'm saying that. Just to get some fronts on it, these are the Met Office frontal charts. And there's the chart from this morning for midday Saturday. And there is that warm front. So that tropical maritime air is all behind this warm front. And that's what we're seeing on that chart there. This is the rain associated with that warm front. So timing is going to be critical.
Yeah. So just to ask you about that, then obviously a bit of rain from a high cloud is less of a problem than drizzle and low cloud. And am I right in remembering that the warm front will slide across the top of the colder air in front of it? So we start with high cloud that then gradually comes down to 1,500 feet or even less. So when we see the rain there in the light sort of turquoise blue, at what point have the clouds reached, do you think, at that point there?
Okay, so the turquoise blue here, this is all rain reaching the surface. So probably within this zone here, we've got kind of a 2,000 to 2,500 foot base. And we can look at the cloud base predictions. So this is midday. This is in meters. Obviously, pilots, we use feet, but meteorologists, we love to make it complicated. So we stick it on in meters. And these colours down here, sorry, not that one, it's this one. These colours down here represent the cloud height in meters. So that's midday. Basically, what we're looking at here is the blue colours, basically high cloud, no need to worry. The green colours, residual low cloud across parts of eastern England. No need to worry about those, I don't think. But it's these sort of yellows where we then get into between 300 and 600 metre bases. So this is our sort of 2,000 foot base, and behind that, that's lowering. So if you imagine that line down there to the southwest of that, that's what I would traditionally term as non-VFRable. And for me, I always think of that as cloud bases of 2,000 feet or below and reducing visibility. So that's at midday. And then by 3 in the afternoon, that low cloud has kind of spread to the Welsh borders down to just to the east of the Isle of Wight. So you see what a close run thing it is. The greener colours here still represent bases of sort of 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and this is above above ground level. So actually, you are potentially just ahead of that. You know, you'll see it in your rear view mirror. It's that sort of idea.
Yeah.
And then by 6 o'clock in the evening, it's spread eastwards, but still you see it's sort of the western half of the Midlands are into what I call non-VFR, but still in the eastern Midlands and across East Anglia, actually conditions still don't fare that bad.
So my original plan was to start. We're going to start and end at Norwich no matter what. Knock off a few airfields in East Anglia that we can land at, before 9 o'clock. Then head west. We were going to go to sort of Manchester and then down to Slape to Weston, Earls Cone and back. Looking at that, I'm now weighing up, and we've got to talk about visibility in a second, but I'm now weighing up the possibility of starting in East Anglia, as I mentioned, but doing the southern strip first, heading northeast, so that we're out of Manchester by sort of 1 o'clock, that sort of time, and then heading east. So we're giving ourselves a few 100 miles more, maybe, than we would if we did it the other way around.
Yeah, and to me, that sounds like a better plan. So if we go back to 9 in the morning, so your idea is to kind of leave East Anglia, come westwards. Yeah. Is that what your plan to do? Yeah, so come westwards to Weston and then up to Slade and then Manchester. That makes more sense because it buys you more time in the west and buys you more time towards the east as well. Obviously, we're kind of dancing on the head of a pin to some extent because we're still many hours away, and we're looking at an hour or so in sort of timing of the weather. And, even now today, it's really difficult to pin down what's going to happen in the next hour, but we're doing it days in advance. But this has been a consistent story now. So this kind of builds my confidence. And I would say I would prefer you to consider doing that way around.
Can we talk about visibility? Because the morning departure from Norwich looks perhaps worse now than it did when we first started speaking a few days ago. Okay,
so this is the visibility forecasts. So this is the visibility for 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. You notice that actually
it's not too bad.
It's not looking too bad. Let me show you the tephigram plot for Saturday morning. Now, we love these things, don't we? But essentially what this is the plot of the tephigram, and I'm just going to make sure I have got the right time. Yes, I have. For 6 o'clock on Saturday morning for Beccles. And what we're looking at is the red line is temperature, the green line here is dew point, and that spread, that kind of shading, is the spread of the various members of the ensemble model. And we get that solid red line and solid green line that give us the average. But effectively, it's that solid and red that we want to look at. Let me just zoom in on that a little bit for you if I can. Will it let me? There we go. So looking at the bottom of this, you can see why that visibility forecast is not that bad. We've got this sort of slight inversion of the surface, but the temperature and dew point actually stay apart. So I'd be thinking of that may well be a little bit of shallow fog. Shallow fog is below 2 meters, and it's that stuff that sort of dances over the airfield, that you see, the sort of wispy stuff. But I think that may fade reasonably quickly during Saturday morning. So actually, that's not that bad. And then you'll notice that by 9 o'clock in the morning, all of those grey colours have gone. Those greys were sort of 10 kilometres. Those grey colours have gone. And the reduction in visibility is being caused by rain out to the west. The blue colours 5 to 10k, the green colours 1 to 5k. So basically, we want to avoid the green. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the 5 to 10s are across western parts of England. That's that rain coming in. but you notice that further east, actually, we stay in reasonable visibility. Visibility, to put it blunt, is a real sod to forecast. It's really, really difficult. But looking at the data that we've got at the moment doesn't really overly concern me, even though when you look at that chart with a ridge of high pressure, you would be thinking that's got to be a mist and fog situation on Saturday morning. But it looks to me as if the air is perhaps a little bit too dry for that to happen. The ground is wet, and that's why I'm suggesting shallow fog, but I think the actual atmosphere itself is probably too dry to allow anything widespread. The only thing that could happen, if we get some fog patches, one of them's over the airfield, delays you by an hour or two.
That's
over. Where we then
Yeah.
reach the problem of that front coming in from the west.
Yeah.
That's kind of lap of the gods stuff.
Okay, I can blame you then if it all goes wrong.
I'm head of blame, John. You know that.
Like you said, it's weather. We're talking about chaos. So
yeah.
Super.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Take care.
See ya. Bye.
So as a result of that weather, I have decided to change the plan ever so slightly. As you can see from the schedule, the routing might be different from one that you saw in the last few weeks. West quicker than had we gone the other way around, and that probably buys us about another hour with the weather. And actually, since speaking to Simon, the weather has, if anything, got a bit better in terms of the position of the warp run, and so I'm reasonably confident that we should be able to go ahead. Famous last words. There's still that risk of the mist and fog in the morning on Saturday at first thing. So right now I'm, as I say, heading up to Norwich, where I'm going to be starting the flight from. Out of interest, some people have been asking me, how are you going to manage fatigue on such a busy day? 12 hours of operation. It's only actually about 4 hours and 20 minutes of flight time. To enter to the dawn to dusk competition, you've got to do at least 4 hours flight. This is 4 hours and 20 minutes. But being on operation all through the day, having to safely manage the flight, is quite challenging on such a flight where you've got to fly into 12 different circuits and airfields with all their different joining information. So there's been a lot of planning that's gone into this, and I've been studying the charts. I've got kind of like a brief of all the very most pertinent information that's going to be easy to hand. I'm going to have a co-pilot with me. Scott Robertson Wood is a trainee commercial pilot. In fact, he's doing his trainee test, his test for this CPL this weekend as well. So he's got a busy weekend ahead. And Scott is going to help me fly safely, so he's going to be my eyes and ears. He's going to help me with the briefings. He's going to help me turn around the aircraft, because I'll be busy doing the meetups, so he'll be doing the walkarounds and the checks for me. We've got a team of volunteers. Fran Reed from Norwich Aviation Centre, and not Simon Talkington, I used to work with someone called Simon Talkington, Andy Talkington, who's based at Barton, a private pilot, are both going to be working on shifts for me during the day. They will be checking NOTAMs, flight restrictions and the weather, and updating us with what we need to know at every stop, and they'll be doing that throughout the course of the day. I've got a team of volunteers on the ground as well, who will be helping to make things run smoothly. They'll be liaising with the airfields, and if you're following along at home, then you can track us on I think it's Flight Aware and Flight Radar 24, hopefully. You will be able to see our live arrivals and departures board will be updated live. Go to my website, www.johnhunt.net, and as I say, you'll be able to see how we're getting on. So if you're coming to meet us at one of the later spots, you can see if we're on schedule. So yeah, it's going to be a great day. If you can't come along and see us in person, then please consider making a donation, no matter how small, over on my Just Giving site. I'll put a link in the screen here, as many of you have done already. And as I say, we've done amazingly well, or you've done amazingly well. We haven't even done the challenge yet, and we've raised more than £3,000. So that's almost 3 times what I had targeted. So I'm absolutely thrilled with that. For me, mission has already been accomplished, and we can raise some great money to help Aerobility continue to do their good work. So we've crossed the Thames and we're just tracking up the M25 here at the moment, actually, past Dammins Hall. And we're at a safe height to transit this area. So I will pause the video there and we will come back as I come into land at Norwich. Golf India Victor final, runway 27.
Golf India Victor, runway 27, surface wind 200 degrees, 12 knots, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 27, Golf India Victor.
India Victor, continue down the runway to vacate left Delta for the light aircraft park. Are you familiar?
Roger, vacate Delta to the light aircraft park, AFAP, Golf India Victor. Here we are at Norwich and the adventure begins. A crosswind there, which a bit gusty too. Right, there we are, we have arrived. Thank you for watching, and be sure to follow our Meetup Marathon charity event that's taking place on Saturday the 16th. Hope to see you somewhere around the UK fairly soon. Bye for now.